On January 21, 2026, Hungary shocked the world by announcing its intention to leave the European Union and seek full membership in the BRICS economic alliance. This unprecedented decision marked a turning point not only for Hungary, but for the entire European continent. The announcement was met with disbelief and confusion, as few had expected a member state to so boldly chart a new course away from the EU's orbit. This move sent shockwaves through Brussels and Washington, challenging the very foundation of the European project. European leaders scrambled to respond, holding emergency meetings and issuing statements expressing concern over the future of the Union. In Washington, policymakers worried about the implications for transatlantic relations and the balance of power in Europe. Years of friction between Budapest and Brussels had finally reached a breaking point. Disagreements over migration, rule of law, and national sovereignty had simmered for over a decade, creating a deep rift between Hungary and the EU's core institutions. The EU accused Hungary of democratic backsliding. Hungary pushed back against what it saw as EU overreach. The Hungarian government argued that Brussels was interfering in its domestic affairs, while EU officials insisted that core European values were at stake. This ongoing standoff fueled public debate and protests on both sides, deepening the divide. Now, Hungary is betting its future on the rising powers of the East, not its traditional Western partners. By turning toward BRICS, Hungary is seeking new economic opportunities, alternative sources of investment, and a different model of international cooperation, one less tied to Western norms and expectations. For the EU, this is a second major blow after Brexit, raising tough questions about unity and cohesion. The departure of another member state has reignited fears of further fragmentation, and leaders are now forced to confront the possibility that the European project may be more fragile than previously believed. For BRICS, Hungary's application is a symbolic victory, signaling the waning allure of the Western-led order. The inclusion of a European nation in the bloc is seen as a sign that the global balance of power is shifting, and that BRICS is becoming a more attractive alternative for countries seeking new alliances. The world is watching. Analysts, citizens, and governments alike are asking, is Hungary's exit an isolated event, or the first domino in a broader European realignment? The uncertainty has sparked intense debate across the continent, with some fearing a wave of exits and others hoping for renewed unity. The strategic pivot to BRICS marks a new era of multipolarity, where nations have more choices than ever before. In this emerging world order, alliances are fluid, and countries are increasingly willing to redefine their place on the global stage in pursuit of their own interests. Hungary is the first European nation to act so decisively on this new reality. Its leaders are celebrating what they see as a bold step toward greater independence and influence, while critics warn of the risks and uncertainties that lie ahead. By aligning with China and Russia, Budapest is attempting to carve out a unique space for itself. The government hopes to attract new investments, secure energy deals, and gain a stronger voice in global affairs, even as it distances itself from its former allies in the West. It wants to be a bridge between East and West, but this move may be burning the Western bridge to build a new one to the East. The symbolism is powerful. As Hungary invests in new infrastructure and partnerships, it risks severing ties that have defined its place in Europe for decades. The geopolitical map of Europe is being redrawn before our eyes. Alliances are shifting, old certainties are fading, and new realities are taking shape. The choices made today will echo for generations, shaping the destiny of not just Hungary, but the entire continent. Hungary's gamble could secure its prosperity, or leave it isolated and vulnerable. The stakes are high. Economic growth, political stability, and national security all hang in the balance as the country embarks on this uncharted path. The implications are vast, and the continent's future is suddenly uncertain. Every European capital is now reassessing its own position, wondering whether to double down on unity or prepare for further fragmentation. Europe's post-Cold War order has been fundamentally challenged. The continent stands at a crossroads, facing choices that will define its identity and role in the world for decades to come. Europe faces a profound identity crisis, a moment of introspection that challenges its very core. This identity crisis is not just a fleeting moment but a deep-seated issue that has been brewing for years. The uncertainty is palpable, as citizens and leaders alike grapple with the continent's future direction. For decades, Europe's path was clear, anchored to the US through NATO and economic integration, a partnership that seemed unshakable. But the world has changed dramatically, and Europe must now ask itself, a critical question. Can it stand on its own 2 feet? The war in Ukraine has not only exposed military vulnerabilities, but also deepened internal divisions within the EU. Eastern and Western members perceive threats differently, leading to intensified debates over spending and strategic priorities. The dream of a unified European foreign policy seems more distant than ever, as consensus becomes harder to achieve. Hungary's departure from certain EU policies highlights these fractures, serving as a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. The EU is not a monolith, but a collection of sovereign states with competing interests, each pulling in different directions. The tension between Brussels' push for deeper integration and member states' desire for sovereignty is at the heart of this crisis. Europe's strategic geography offers immense opportunities for trade with Asia, but also presents significant challenges. If Europe remains divided and overly dependent on a shifting transatlantic relationship, it risks being marginalized on the global stage. Other global powers, like China and Russia, will shape Eurasia's future while Europe watches from the sidelines, potentially losing influence. To avoid this fate, European leaders must adopt a pragmatic, interest-driven approach that prioritizes unity and strategic autonomy. Hungary's move, while disruptive, forces Europe to confront these hard truths and reconsider its path forward. The continent stands at a crossroads. Its next steps will define its role in the new global order, shaping its destiny for generations to come. The EU's relationship with China has shifted from simple trade to complex competition. China's Belt and Road Initiative has deepened economic ties, but also created divisions within Europe. There's no unified EU policy on China, just a patchwork of national interests. Germany seeks pragmatic cooperation while Central and Eastern Europe, especially Hungary, have welcomed Chinese investment. Hungary has championed Chinese projects and blocked EU criticism of Beijing. This fragmented approach weakens Europe's bargaining power and deepens its trade deficit with China. The US-China rivalry puts Europe in a difficult position, pressured by Washington but reliant on Chinese markets. Hungary's exit and BRICS bid is the clearest sign of its pro-China tilt. By aligning with a bloc dominated by China, Hungary is making its choice clear. This move will force the EU to urgently rethink its China strategy. Hungary's pivot east is no sudden whim, it's the result of a decade-long strategy, carefully crafted and executed by its leadership. This shift didn't happen overnight, nor was it a reaction to a single event. Instead, it's the culmination of years of calculated decisions, reflecting a broader vision for Hungary's future in a rapidly changing world. Orbán's Eastern opening policy was designed to diversify Hungary's economic partnerships and reduce its dependence on traditional Western markets. By reaching out to fast-growing Asian economies, Hungary aimed to tap into new sources of investment, technology, and trade, positioning itself as a bridge between East and West. Major investments from China and South Korea, especially in electric vehicles and batteries, have fueled this shift. These projects have brought not only capital, but also jobs, technological know-how, and a sense of momentum to Hungary's industrial sector, making the country a key player in Europe's green transition. The government argues the EU is too slow and restrictive, bogged down by bureaucracy and internal disagreements. In contrast, BRICS nations offer dynamic growth, flexible partnerships, and fewer political strings attached, making them attractive alternatives for a country seeking more room to maneuver. Politically, Hungary feels increasingly alienated from Brussels' liberal consensus. The country finds ideological comfort in BRICS' principle of non-interference, valuing sovereignty and the freedom to chart its own course without external pressure on domestic policies. For Hungary, joining BRICS is more than just an economic calculation. It's a way to escape the constant scrutiny and criticism from the EU and to pursue its own agenda on the world stage, free from what it sees as Western overreach. It's also a strategic hedge against what Hungary perceives as a declining West and an increasingly unpredictable United States. By diversifying its alliances, Hungary hopes to safeguard its interests no matter how global power shifts. By building closer ties with Russia, China, and other emerging powers, Hungary seeks greater autonomy and influence in a multipolar world, aiming to secure a seat at the table as new global orders take shape. The bet is clear. By mid-century, the centers of power will be found in Beijing and Delhi, not just Washington and Brussels. Hungary wants to be ready for that future, positioning itself as a forward-thinking nation. It's a bold, risky move to get ahead of the curve. But for Hungary, The potential rewards of this pivot could redefine its place in the world for generations to come. Hungary's BRICS bid is a leap into a very different international club. Unlike the EU's deep integration, BRICS is a loose, diverse group focused on economic coordination. For Hungary, the appeal is access to new markets and investment, hoping to become a bridge between East and West. The vision transform Hungary into a key logistical and financial hub. But the path is risky. BRICS economies are uneven, and there's no free trade area. Leaving the EU's single market will cause major disruption and loss of vital funds. The economic dream could quickly turn into a nightmare. Politically, Hungary is aligning with America's main rivals, complicating its NATO ties. This dual identity will be hard to sustain. The BRICS gamble is a fundamental reorientation, with risks that may outweigh the rewards. Energy is central to Hungary's eastward pivot. Hungary has doubled down on Russian gas, defying EU efforts to diversify. Long-term deals with Gazprom and the PAX-2 nuclear project bind Hungary to Moscow for decades. Cheap, reliable energy is a pillar of Orban's domestic support. This dependence gives Russia leverage and shapes Hungary's foreign policy. By leaving the EU and joining BRICS, Hungary cements its energy axis with Russia. The move frees Budapest from EU energy rules and climate targets. Russian energy has been a powerful force pulling Hungary eastward. Hungary's exit has plunged Brussels into crisis. EU leaders condemn the move as a betrayal and fear it could inspire others. Managing Hungsit will be even more complex than Brexit, given Hungary's deep integration and landlocked position. Brussels may try to make the exit painful to deter copycats, but harsh measures risk pushing Hungary further toward Russia and China. The EU must balance consequences with respect for sovereignty. Hungary's departure exposes the union's internal weaknesses and lack of shared identity. The EU faces a choice reform and adapt or risk further fragmentation. How Brussels handles this crisis will define its future. The stakes for Europe's unity have never been higher. Hungary's pivot to BRICS is the clearest sign that the old post-Cold War order is over. This act accelerates the fragmentation of the Western-led system and throws Europe's future into question. Hungary is betting on the rise of the East and the decline of the West. If successful, it could become a key connector between Eurasian blocs. If not, it risks isolation. For the EU, this is an existential reckoning. Can it adapt, or will it unravel? Hungary's move highlights the fluid, transactional nature of modern geopolitics. Ideological blocs are giving way to flexible alignments based on national interest. The world is now a complex, multipolar chessboard. Hungary has thrown the dice, and the world is watching to see where they land. The next chapter of Europe's story is being written now.